everyone, welcome to B-GHUD Academy's official YouTube channel. In this video, we will be answering some of the very common assumptions about the IELTS examination. So the first assumption is, I can use any valid identification proof for the IELTS test.
Right, so it depends on where you take the test. Remember, in India, at the moment, it is just the passport that is being accepted for the IELTS test. When you book your test date itself, you'll have a drop-down option in which just passport will be mentioned. So when you appear for your test, it's very important for you to carry your passport with you, the original passport with you. Please bear this in mind. A lot of students make this mistake. They might take their Aadhaar card or their driver's license with them. So that's not the case with IELTS. They only accept a valid passport with you. You cannot give your passport for stamping and then go for your test. You cannot you cannot give it for renewal. So please bear this in mind. When on the test day, you should be in possession of a valid passport, the original passport with you. This is very important.
And make sure that it also hasn't expired. Right?
Yes.
If it has reached the expiry date, make sure you renew your passport
before you book your test date. Right. Also, in certain GCC countries and somewhere abroad, you might have options to select a different identification document when you book your test date. In those cases too, please make sure that you should have the original form of identification or the original identification document with you when you go for your test. So when you book your test date, you will have to give an option of an identification document, and you should take the original one with you when you go for your test. In India, again, I wish to reiterate, it is just the passport that is being accepted for your IELTS test.
All right. So the second assumption is, I don't have to pay for IELTS coaching. I can learn it on my own.
Right. So what do you think about it?
So I think to an extent it might be true, especially if you are a fluent speaker, although I do not believe that you can completely avoid IELTS coaching, especially if you are aiming for a higher band score.
Yes. So again, remember, if you are an intermediate, average or below average speaker of English, it's very important for you to attend an IELTS coaching. If you are an above average speaker or an excellent speaker of English, again, it is advisable for you to attend coaching at least for a short period of time to get yourself assessed. Remember, IELTS is a very structured test. You need to know about the evaluation criteria, certain other tips and tricks which would help them to achieve a better band score. Merely by watching or following YouTube channels and videos, it would never help you to crack your IELTS, because assessment is something that's very important, right?
Definitely, yeah.
So it is always important to spend some time and effort to attend coaching before you attempt your IELTS test.
I can prepare for IELTS by memorizing answers. So I don't think that memorizing answers would be the way to go because with IELTS, you have to make sure that you come across as a natural speaker of English, someone who is sort of fluent in English.
Right, again, it's not only for speaking but also for writing. It's equally important. You
Definitely.
cannot, you might come across essays that are familiar. You might have read a lot of essays, which is good, but try not to memorize exact sentences as it is. You can take ideas from essays. Again, for speaking, you can read books and gain a lot of ideas, but as it is not a good idea to memorize answers.
Yes, even for the writing section in particular, I think it is one of the criteria to not have memorized answers, because it's very evident. Like when you look at the paper, when you look at the answer, you know that this is something that has already been prepared beforehand, right? So when you write, make sure that it looks authentic, that it's coming out of your own brain. It's your own ideas that you're putting across, because that's what matters the most to the examiner.
Similarly, for the speaking test, as we have discussed in many of our previous videos, it's very important to speak naturally, use ups and downs, proper intonations when you speak English, so that the examiner can clearly understand that you are speaking naturally without recollecting or without thinking of memorized answers, right?
So the next assumption is IELTS is tough. What do you think about this?
Not necessarily, because it depends on the capacity of a student, and at the same time, even with students who are not so advanced speakers of English, with proper training by using certain sets of tips and tricks, IELTS is easy to crack.
Definitely, and I think especially for someone who's already fluent in English, it might be somewhat easy. Like we mentioned before, you might need training for a higher band score, but it's nothing that is unattainable, right? With the proper guidance, you can always attain a high band score. Also, keep in mind that this test, it's a test for fluency, and it's not like an English literature test, right?
Yes.
It's very different from that.
Yes, it's also not a test of your general knowledge.
Yes.
That again is very important. You should have basic ideas,
Yeah.
some skills, and you should work smart, and with proper training and guidance for you to crack the test. It's pretty simple for you. And again, even if you are a below average speaker of English with 5 to 6 months of constant coaching with some basic grammar lessons, and then certain tips and tricks related to IELTS, you can definitely achieve the desired band score.
And I think another additional point that I would like to add to that is especially talking about general knowledge. I've seen a lot of students when they insert a lot of information or surveys which might not even exist, right? So especially for the writing essays. So when you're talking about general knowledge, again, like he said, it's okay. Obviously, you will need general knowledge in your day-to-day life, but for IELTS, do not be scared. You don't have to be scared of knowing each and every current affairs event that is happening,
yes.
or everything that's related to the economy. Like, it's okay even if you don't.
But all that matters is your level of confidence, the way you present your answers. Say, for example, in the speaking test, if you're not pretty much aware of the question, you should try to come up with reasons that you think suits this question, right? There's nothing like a right answer or a wrong answer for the speaking test.
I can book multiple test dates to try my luck.
Right. Okay, so this is a common misconception. I have come across many students who start coaching after booking their test date. This is a very wrong wrong thing to do. Again, there are a lot of students who try to test their luck by booking multiple test dates. Like, they might take 5-10 test dates, and they would go and write week after week to test their luck, but that wouldn't work.
And it costs somewhere between 15 to 16,000. So we have a lot of candidates who book a date, and it might be within a week or within a month of when they start coaching classes, and then they attend the test and they realize that they do not get their desired outcome or the band score that they were trying to achieve, and then they'll have to get like multiple attempts to get that, right? So make sure that you give yourself enough time to prepare. Whether you're a beginner, you might need anywhere between 6 to 7 months. If you're intermediate, I would say maybe 3 to 4 months. Yes. And if you're a fluent speaker, I guess you will be good to go in a month or two.
So, yes.
Definitely. My score can change depending on the test center. Okay, now this is a very interesting one. I remember one of my students telling me that he was planning to book his test center at Kanyakumari because apparently he's heard from some of his friends that there's a chance of getting higher band score. So is this any true?
There's nothing like that. Of course, many candidates tend to make up stories based on past experiences. It might have happened for a candidate who got 6.5 in some place, who happened to perform well and got 7.5 in a different center. It has happened in the past, but to be honest, there's nothing like that, because IELTS is again a very structured test. Cambridge sets question paper, and then IDP on behalf of Cambridge conduct the test. Examiners, when it comes to the speaking test and for assessing the writing module, are well trained. They are given necessary coaching, and they
also have very specific guidelines.
Yes, guidelines as on how to mark the candidate. So it's a common myth that is prevalent among students. So there's nothing like that.
I think when people do talk about like taking a different test center for their second or their third attempt, I think the reason why they might get a higher band score is probably because they get more time to prepare and not because of the test center itself, right?
Again, if I say to some candidates that, okay, this center is good, this is like giving them more self-confidence. They would face the examiner with much more confidence. Whereas if I say, similarly, if I say to the candidate that it's okay, this test center is not so good, again, that creates unnecessary confusions. Right? So it's all it's all about the state of your mind and how you perform for the test. Right? So there's nothing like that.
IELTS is the only accepted English proficiency test. Not really. There are other alternatives such as OET, PTE and TOEFL. PTE and TOEFL are completely computerized, whereas the IELTS, you have two options. You have the pen and paper based test and you also have the computerized test.
Self-PIP is again an alternative to IELTS when it comes to immigrating to Canada. Apart from that, IELTS life skills test is again an English proficiency test. UKV IELTS is again a test for English. So when you enroll yourself for a coaching class or when you prepare for your test, you should have a clear idea as on what your goals are for the future. If you, for example, if you plan to go for higher studies, you yourself should make necessary preparations and make up your mind before attempting the test.
Definitely.
You know, right? Many candidates end up giving the test and change their plans, right? Which is actually a waste of your time and money. Again, you should have a clear idea whether to write IELTS academic or general, right? Again, depending on the institutions and countries that you wish to work.
And also the purpose of, like suppose you want to migrate, then you might have to write the IELTS general, whereas if you want for work purposes.
Based on, for instance, in the UK, certain employers demand IELTS life skills test from the employees. So depending on the organization, you should do a thorough research and then enroll yourself for your coaching, set goals and then prepare for your test.
Also keep in mind that the IELTS, your test score, it is valid for 2 years.
Just for 2 years,
not beyond that. So like he mentioned before, make sure that you have a well-rounded plan. Please evaluate your own profile and make sure that you have a certain number of countries or colleges and universities that you have in mind, because we know a lot of people who just write IELTS as the first step, and it should be the first step with your college applications, although then they will realize that, okay, maybe my profile is not good enough or they need more work experience, and then they might take a 2-year break and then they'll have to attend the IELTS again. So make sure that all of that is kept in mind before you attempt your IELTS exam. And the final assumption is, my speaking examiner will be a native English speaker. No, that is a false assumption. They need not always be a native English speaker. There are chances that you may get one.
Native speaker, yes.
But there are also Malayalis or non-Malayalis, from people from all parts
over
of India.
Different parts of the world, in fact. Right, so as I said before, they are selected based on certain criteria. They are highly qualified professionals. They also get proper training from Cambridge and IDP and British Council to conduct tests in a professional way. Right, so that's it for today's video. I hope it was really helpful for you. If you haven't subscribed our channel yet, please do subscribe and support us. Also, share this video with your friends, and I'm pretty sure that they too would find this helpful. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.